As the gray-robed elder appeared, a glimmer of excitement flickered in the eyes of the soldiers guarding the exit of the underground palace. It was none other than Yimo, the deputy commander of the Dragon Devourer Legion, a powerful 9-star Do-D. With this formidable figure overseeing the situation, the soldiers breathed a sigh of relief. Without him, if Elder Zhu managed to break into the restricted area, the consequences would be dire, and they would bear the full brunt of the fallout. Meanwhile, in a serene bamboo grove within the Xuanling royal palace, two figures slowly emerged. "It seems we've failed," murmured the Xuanling King. "Your Majesty, how is that possible?" An opponent at the perfect 8-star Do-D level should have easily dealt with two mere 5-star Do-Dis. When Z, who had been standing by, exclaimed in disbelief. "There's nothing impossible," the Xuanling King replied, shaking his head slightly. "Xiao Yan must possess some unique methods to have defeated the twin ghost emperors. Moreover, there's something familiar about Mu Yingying, but I can't quite put my finger on it. With this failure, who knows when the next opportunity will arise? The potential of these two is truly frightening." Wen Zi sighed helplessly. "Perhaps now isn't the time to dwell on this." The Xuanling King mused, glancing upward. The sky was now undergoing a dramatic change. "Zhu Jin," Wen Zi exclaimed in shock. With his seasoned eyes, it wasn't hard for Wen Zi to notice the violent thunderclouds roiling across the sky. "It seems Zhu Jin won't let this failure go so easily," the Xuanling King remarked, his gaze fixed on the sky filled with flashes of lightning and thunderous clouds. Even as a 9-turn Do-D, the Xuanling King felt a chill from the power in the sky. "I'll take care of the aftermath," Wen Zi said, understanding the king's intent. He crushed a yellow jade talisman in his hand, and the space around him rippled. In the blink of an eye, he vanished. The ripple, it has touched upon the power of life and death. The Xuanling King sighed, rising slowly before heading toward the underground palace. "Zhu Jin, do you intend to wage war against the Xuanling royal family?" Yimo shouted angrily, his aura suddenly surging. You've also reached 9-star Do-D?" Elder Zhu, surprised, responded. Yimo, feeling slightly relieved, was about to respond when suddenly, a defiant voice echoed from above. "If anything happens to him, your Xuanling royal family will have no reason to exist anymore." Elder Zhu stood in the air, surrounded by terrifying bolts of lightning that crackled menacingly around him, though none struck him. At this moment, he seemed like the ruler of thunder and lightning, looking down upon all beings. Faced with such a terrifying presence, Yimo could only offer a helpless suggestion. "Perhaps things aren't as you think. Why don't we calm down and talk?" It was no surprise that Yimo took such a stance. He knew all too well that he had just broken through to 9-star Do-D and had barely reached the first level. In contrast, Elder Zhu had already become a 7-turn 9-star Do-D a century ago. Who knew how much stronger he had become since then? "Humph!" Elder Zhu snorted coldly. "Yimo, don't think I'm unaware of the Xuanling royal family's dirty deeds over the years. Master, if you do this, you'll be harming the harmony between the Xuanling royal family and the incense pavilion," Yimo continued. "Step aside," Elder Zhu roared, seeing that Yimo was still blocking the entrance to the underground palace. As Elder Zhu's voice fell, the thunderclouds around him crackled with a dazzling bolt of lightning, which shot directly toward the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying lightning attack hit the ground, scattering debris in all directions and leaving a massive crater in front of Yimo. Yimo wiped the sweat from his brow, knowing that this attack from Elder Zhu was merely a warning. If it had struck him directly, he would have been in serious trouble. "Damn it!" Yimo cursed under his breath. "This old man has already reached Do-Xian. He must now be a 9-turn 9-star Do-D." Looking up at the distant sky, Yimo grumbled, "Master, you will pay for the choice you've made today." He then reluctantly moved away from the entrance of the underground palace. There was no other choice. After all, the opponent was a peak 9-turn 9-star Do-D. If he insisted on breaking through, Yimo knew he wouldn't be able to stop him. "Threaten me?" Elder Zhu scoffed. "I've said it before. If anything happens to my disciple in your Xuanling royal family's territory, I won't let this go. Isn't that just being unreasonable? One of the soldiers guarding the underground palace muttered under his breath. Better stay quiet. You can't argue with someone that powerful, another soldier whispered. What? Yemo's eyes widened in shock. His disciple? The fact that Zhu Jin had reached 9-turn 9-star Dodi was terrifying enough. But that alone wasn't what struck fear into the Xuanling royal family. The real terror lay in the fact that Zhu Jin was the top battle array master of the mystic three heavens. A battle array master could single-handedly challenge the entire Xuanling royal family, and even the Xuanling King treated Zhu Jin with respect. 100 years ago, before Zhu Jin had even reached the peak of Dodi, he had taken on the Dragon Devourer Legion and the Xuanling King, injuring several of their strongest warriors before retreating unharmed. That battle had shaken the mystic three heavens, and from that point on, Zhu Jin earned the title of the top battle array master in the region. Zhu Jin's power could only be described as terrifying. The only comfort for the Xuanling royal family was that, despite his immense power, Zhu Jin had never taken on a disciple. If he did, his student could one day become an even more terrifying battle array master. Now, upon hearing that one of the intruders in the Xuanling imperial pool was Zhu Jin's disciple, Yemo finally understood why Zhu Jin was willing to risk a war between two great factions to protect them. This is going to be a big problem. Yemo shook his head bitterly, watching as Zhu Jin headed toward the underground palace. Zhu Jin had always been known for fiercely protecting his own. Nearby, Mu Feng gently supported Mu Yingying, channeling a stream of gentle cyan do qi into her body. As Mu Feng's do qi flowed through her, a hint of color returned to Mu Yingying's pale face. What happened? Mu Feng muttered softly, feeling the terrible injuries within Mu Yingying. His heart ached. Clearly, she had used some kind of forbidden technique. Whatever enemies Xiao Yan had faced, it had been a brutal battle. In the next moment, Mu Feng swiftly shielded Mu Yingying, wary that the Xuanling imperial family might try another underhanded move, and then his eyes fixed on Elder Zhu in front of him. At this time, Elder Zhu slowly descended from the sky, heading towards the underground palace, though the thunderclouds above still had not dispersed. Xiao Yan, on the other hand, looked utterly battered and weak. His body was riddled with wounds, and the do qi within him was nearly depleted. Clear signs that he had just exhausted all his energy. Even his soul power was drained, leaving him stumbling as he walked. Having just left the spatial teleportation array, Xiao Yan found himself on the first level of the underground palace. He didn't rush to leave. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and took out several pills from his storage ring, swallowing them without hesitation. Xiao Yan knew all too well that since the Xuanling imperial family dared to brazenly send strong warriors to hunt him down, they must have made ample preparations. Thus, he wasn't reckless enough to venture outside without some means of survival. Without precautions, death was all but certain. As he sat on the ground, his eyes closed slightly, the rich fragrance of the medicinal pills transformed into streams of pure energy, flowing through his limbs and quickly restoring his depleted do qi. Chi. Who's there? Show yourself. In the next moment, Xiao Yan's eyes shot open, narrowing as he detected some strange sounds in the first level of the underground palace. His gaze became sharp as he scanned his surroundings. Heh, you're quite the cautious little one. But why does your presence seem oddly familiar to me? A deep voice reverberated in Xiao Yan's ears. Damn it, not my luck today. Xiao Yan felt helpless, cursing inwardly as he relied on his partially recovered soul power. He recognized the presence. It was the same mysterious force that resided in the core of the Xuanling imperial pool. When Xiao Yan had first entered the core of the Xuanling imperial pool, he had sensed a faint, obscure aura. However, back then, his master, the Golden Dragon King, was present, and that power hadn't revealed itself. There was a sorceress in the Xuanling imperial pool, but her strength paled compared to this terrifying figure before him. In the next instant, a young man appeared before Xiao Yan, radiating an intense, scorching aura. The translucent white do qi on his body flickered like flames. Without hesitation, Xiao Yan turned and bolted. He realized that this mysterious expert from the Xuanling Imperial Pool was far more fearsome than the royal enshrined experts who had been sent to hunt him down. A cold chill of death spread through Xiao Yan's heart, even causing the doqi within him to momentarily freeze. "Little one, why are you running? I'm not going to eat you." The young man smiled lightly and, with a casual wave of his hand, Xiao Yan, who had been running toward the exit, was pulled back instantly. Xiao Yan looked up, forcing a wry smile. "Senior, what are you doing?" Realizing escape was futile under such a powerful figure's watch, Xiao Yan resigned himself, knowing that running away would be as impossible as reaching the heavens. "I told you, I just sensed something familiar within you." The young man spoke indifferently. "Senior, I have no idea what you're talking about," Xiao Yan responded, utterly confused. The young man chuckled but said nothing, raising his palm as an invisible force surged into Xiao Yan's body. Swish, swish. The invisible energy swept through Xiao Yan's body in an instant, making him grit his teeth in silent curses. Strange. After a thorough inspection, the young man found nothing, shaking his head. "You must have an exceptional teacher," the young man commented before unleashing a terrifying lightning attack, which was quickly intercepted by a mysterious old man who had just arrived. "Are you all right?" The newcomer was none other than Elder Zhu, who had rushed into the first level of the underground palace. Seeing the mysterious man probing Xiao Yan, he launched his attack without hesitation. "I'm still alive." Xiao Yan felt a warmth in his heart upon seeing his master, Elder Zhu. He was impressed by his master's audacity in storming the forbidden underground palace of the Xuanling Imperial family, a testament to the master's resolve. "Don't worry. I'm here," Elder Zhu reassured Xiao Yan before turning his gaze toward the mysterious young man in front of him. "Ha! You're quite the protective teacher." The young man shook his head and, without another word, transformed into a streak of light, vanishing from the space. "What happened?" Elder Zhu asked Xiao Yan after the mysterious man disappeared. "Mu Yingying and I were ambushed by an enshrined expert of the Xuanling Imperial family at the Nine Fish playing with Dragon Array. He was a perfect 8-star Do-D," Xiao Yan explained without hiding anything. "What?" Elder Zhu's shock was evident as he reacted. "Are you certain?" "Yes." Xiao Yan nodded, though his response was interrupted by a violent cough, still feeling the residual pressure from the mysterious man's overwhelming presence. "We'll remember this. I'll make sure that enshrined expert dies next time," Elder Zhu's voice echoed in Xiao Yan's mind. "Don't worry, master. I'm not dead yet," Xiao Yan smiled weakly in reassurance. "What about Mu Yingying?" "She's fine, just exhausted," Elder Zhu replied. "Let's go. You need to rest and recover," Elder Zhu said, and they both headed back the way they came. At that moment, in the Nine Fish playing with Dragon Array, a man in black sat cross-legged. The surrounding space rippled as another figure arrived. "So you failed?" A voice sneered coldly. "Prepare to face the Xuanling King's wrath when you return," the newcomer, Wanzi, growled. The man in black sighed deeply, and in the next moment, the two of them disappeared from the array. After all, Elder Zhu had every right to speak with such confidence. As a peak Do-D and a battle array master, he alone possessed enough strength to contend with the entire Xuanling Imperial family, especially when the only opponent present was a newly advanced 9-star Do-D. "Battle array masters are truly fearsome," murmured some of the strong warriors guarding the underground palace. Xiao Yan could feel that Elder Zhu was standing up for him, and a warm feeling spread through his heart. With such a powerful backer, Xiao Yan didn't hesitate any further. He walked straight over to Mu Feng and asked, "Is she all right?" "She's fine, just overexerted herself. She'll need quite some time to recover," Mu Feng replied. "Let me take a look," Xiao Yan said, reaching out for the weakened Mu Yingying. Mu Feng nodded and gently handed Mu Yingying over to Xiao Yan. As soon as Xiao Yan touched Mu Yingying, a distinct coldness emanated from her body. His eyes flashed with hesitation, but he quickly steadied her with one hand, placing his other hand on her forehead. The next moment, Xiao Yan activated his vast soul power, attempting to soothe and heal Mu Yingying's injuries. However, to his surprise, despite her weakened state, Mu Yingying's body seemed to resist his power, as if something within her was blocking his efforts. After several tries, Xiao Yan gave up and slowly withdrew a few finely crafted pills from his storage ring, preparing to administer them to Mu Yingying. As the pills appeared in his hand, the surrounding people couldn't help but show signs of envy. High-grade pills were exceedingly valuable, and only a select few had the fortune to possess them. Without a second thought, Xiao Yan placed one of the pills in his hand and gently pried open Mu Yingying's lips, slipping the pill inside. As soon as the pill entered Mu Yingying's mouth, her lips instinctively moved, and she began to chew. Moments later, the pill dissolved into a stream of pure energy, which flowed through her body. With the pill now ingested, Mu Yingying's complexion gradually improved, and her injuries showed visible signs of healing. Only then did Xiao Yan finally relax. Mu Yingying's fearless stand against the perfect 8-star Dou-Di enshrined by the Xuanling imperial family had left a deep impression on Xiao Yan. She had even risked using power far beyond her own limits, which moved Xiao Yan and led to this moment. Though Xiao Yan didn't fully understand why Mu Yingying possessed the sacred flame, and it seemed she had been deliberately hiding this fact, he couldn't help but admire her courage. After finishing the treatment, Xiao Yan glanced down at Mu Yingying's face, noticing a faint stubbornness etched into her delicate features. The next moment, both Xiao Yan and Mu Feng turned their attention to Elder Zhu. "Zhujin, don't push it too far," yelled Yemo. "Entering the Xuanling imperial pool comes with its own risks. You're just trying to take advantage of the situation." Elder Zhu paid Yemo no mind. Instead, his attention shifted to the sky, where the terrifying thunderclouds had started to dissipate, causing space to tremble slightly. Moments later, Elder Zhu called out to the sky, "Since you're here, why keep hiding?" The Xuanling King. As soon as Elder Zhu's words fell, a voice filled with laughter echoed from the heavens. "Ha ha ha, Zhujin, your sharp eyes haven't dulled a bit." With that, a part of the sky rippled, and a figure slowly emerged. The figure was dressed entirely in golden robes, immediately marking him as someone of extraordinary status. Around him, waves of terrifying energy radiated outward. He's managed to draw out even the Xuanling King. If the Xuanling King hadn't shown up, this could have spiraled out of control. Indeed, with peak Dou-Di experts involved, any mistake could be catastrophic, whispered the guards nearby. The Xuanling King, Xiao Yan's pupils contracted tightly. Although Xiao Yan didn't know exactly why, one thing was clear. Since their last encounter during the selection at the Super Sect, the Xuanling King had grown even stronger. Swish, swish. Deep within Xiao Yan's soul sea, the sacred flame soul seed suddenly erupted with intense movement. It was as if it was reacting to the invisible flame surrounding the Xuanling King. What's going on? Xiao Yan was baffled, but he quickly suppressed his confusion and forcefully calmed the sacred flame soul seed within his soul sea. At the same time, Mu Yingying, who was still in Xiao Yan's arms, stirred slightly, seemingly affected by the Xuanling King's appearance, before falling silent once more. Xiao Yan's gaze locked onto the Xuanling King, noticing faint strands of invisible flame surrounding him. That flame caused the fusion of Xiao Yan's 23 different heavenly flames to tremble with fear. Could it be that the Xuanling King has already devoured the sacred flame? Xiao Yan muttered to himself, filled with uncertainty. During his earlier foray into the Nine Fish playing with Dragon Array near the outer region of the Xuanling Imperial Pool, Xiao Yan had encountered the last chief of the Heaven-Eyed Fish Tribe, who had hinted that the underground palace of the Xuanling Imperial family was filled with treasures, including something precious on the 6th level, the mother of the celestial Bodhi tree. As for the deeper, 7th level, according to Yuxuan, it was highly likely that the sacred flame resided there. That area was the most heavily guarded location within the entire Xuanling imperial family, watched over by terrifyingly powerful warriors. I don't think so. Although the flame around the Xuanling King is strong, devouring the sacred flame would not be so easy. Long Yi's voice came from within the ancient ruler of heavenly flames. With his sharp insight, Long Yi easily detected the oddity in the Xuanling King's flame. Let's hope you're right, Xiao Yan thought to himself, though he remained wary. However, he added, the Xuanling imperial family and I, Xiao Yan, now have a score to settle. The next time I get the chance, I'll make sure they pay dearly. Xiao Yan silently vowed in his heart. If people do not offend me, I will not offend them. But if they dare to offend me, I will strike back. In the sky above, the Xuanling King stood tall, exuding terrifying energy from his body. Since the matter of the Xuanling Imperial Pool is now settled, let's leave it at that, the Xuanling King said calmly. Ha ha ha. Do you take me for a child, Xuanling King? Elder Zhu scoffed. My disciple has been grievously harmed by someone in your Xuanling Imperial family, and you think you can just brush it off so easily? You must be dreaming, Elder Zhu continued, refusing to relent. How dare you? The Xuanling King is here, and yet, Yimo shouted, clearly relieved by the Xuanling King's arrival. Without him, Yimo, who had only just broken into the 9-star Do D level, wouldn't have been able to stop Elder Zhu. Elder Zhu, this isn't like the Incense Pavilion's usual behavior, the Xuanling King interjected, waving a hand to calm Yimo. Don't try to use the Incense Pavilion to suppress me. You should know by now that such tricks don't work on me, Elder Zhu responded coldly, showing no respect for the Xuanling King. I understand, but let's hear what the person involved has to say, the Xuanling King replied, shifting his focus to Xiao Yan. While even with Yimo's help, the Xuanling King couldn't guarantee victory over the powerful Elder Zhu. Xiao Yan was a different story. Hearing this, Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat. However, Xiao Yan knew well that Elder Zhu had taken such a drastic step for his sake. This would inevitably implicate the Incense Pavilion, the faction behind him, in some way. With this in mind, Xiao Yan began to formulate a plan. Master Uncle, Xuanling King, this whole situation seems to be a coincidence. I hope the two of you can call it off, Xiao Yan said to Elder Zhu and the Xuanling King, who were facing each other. Very well, the Xuanling King responded with a slow smile, turning his gaze to Elder Zhu. Old man Zhu, your disciple has spoken. Let's leave it at that. I won't pursue the matter of you trespassing into the Xuanling Imperial family's forbidden grounds. What do you say? The Xuanling King asked, his eyes fixed on Elder Zhu, waiting for his response. Humph! Elder Zhu snorted coldly. In the next moment, the terrifying thunderclouds in the sky began to dissipate, revealing the bright, clear sky once more. Elder Zhu knew full well that engaging in a fight with the Xuanling Imperial family at this moment would be unwise. Bend when you must, stand tall when you can. This kid is something special, Elder Zhu thought to himself with satisfaction. Oh, by the way, Xuanling old ghost, I hear the auction is in 10 days. Why don't you give me 3 entrance tickets? Consider it compensation for my disciple, Elder Zhu said, turning around as if he had just remembered something and spoke to the Xuanling King. What? 3 tickets? Yimo nearly spat out in disbelief. The auction hosted by the Xuanling Imperial family was one of the most prestigious events in all of Mystic 3 Heavens. Every time it was held, countless rare treasures were made available. However, gaining access to the auction was not for the ordinary. Only notable figures, such as Elder Zhu, the first-ranked battle array master in Mystic 3 Heavens, were allowed entry to the most luxurious auctions. Unfortunately, Xiao Yan and his companions did not have such privileges. To enter the Xuanling Imperial family's auction, one needed to have at least the strength of a 6-star Do D. Looking at Xiao Yan, Mu Yingying, and Mu Feng, none of them met that requirement. The only other way to enter the auction was to purchase a ticket. But even the cheapest entry tickets were sold at a staggering price of 10 million gold coins. 10 million gold coins was no small sum. For a regular household, earning a few thousand gold coins in a year was already considered substantial, which further underscored the grand scale of the Xuanling Imperial auction. No problem, the Xuanling King said cheerfully. To him, a mere 30 million coins was hardly worth mentioning. That's settled, then, Elder Zhu replied, turning back toward Xiao Yan. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go and heal up, Elder Zhu said calmly. With that, he took the lead and left, leaving Xiao Yan and his companions standing there, dumbfounded. Was this really the same peak Do D powerhouse, or had he suddenly turned into a common old man? This thought wasn't only in Xiao Yan's mind, but also in the minds of the surrounding guards. After a brief moment of hesitation, Mu Feng followed suit, while Xiao Yan, carrying Mu Yingying, trailed behind. As Elder Zhu and his group disappeared, The entrance to the underground palace once again became heavily guarded. Yimo and the Xuanling King floated in the air. Xuanling King, is this what you've accomplished? I'm calling for a meeting of the Enshrined Hall. Yimo growled, and without waiting for a reply, he turned and headed deeper into the Xuanling Imperial Palace. Damn it! One wrong move and everything falls apart. This is all because of that Enshrine's failure. Things have become even more troublesome. The Xuanling King's earlier smile vanished, replaced by a grim expression as he followed Yimo toward the heart of the palace. Meanwhile, Xiao Yan and his companions left the underground palace and found an inn where they checked in to rest. Master Uncle, is she going to be all right? Xiao Yan asked quietly, standing beside Elder Zhu. She'll be fine. She overexerted herself and needs rest. You should rest too, Elder Zhu added. Thank you, Master Uncle, Xiao Yan said, feeling relieved. He left Mu Yingying's room and went to his own to rest. With his powerful master at hand, someone who was a peak Do D, Xiao Yan felt reassured. Besides, his injuries were severe, and he needed to recover as quickly as possible. Heh, you two really don't make things easy for me. First, there's you, Xiao Yan, giving me enough headaches. And now Mu Yingying. But why does Mu Yingying carry a faint trace of fiery energy? Could it be my imagination? Elder Zhu muttered to himself as he left the room. Now, only Mu Yingying remained, lying quietly on the bed. Suddenly, her eyelids fluttered violently, and she mumbled softly, Xiao Yan. Then, she fell back into silence. Deep within the Xuanling Imperial Palace, a grand courtyard stretched across the grounds. Rows of stone steps led up to the palace, where magnificent halls stood towering over the surroundings. In a grand chamber designed for meetings, several figures had already gathered. The room had a large wooden table with seats arranged on either side, making it easy for communication during discussions. Seated second on the left was none other than Yimo, who had recently confronted Elder Zhu. He sat respectfully beside an elderly man in the first seat on the left and fixed his gaze on the Xuanling King seated on the right, exuding an air of displeasure. The old man seated at the head of the table had a full head of white hair, a long beard, and deep wrinkles etched into his face, a testament to the many years he had lived. His age showed clearly, but no one in the room dared to underestimate him. This elder was the current commander of the Dragon Devourer Legion, Qin Tian, also known as the Immovable King, a man who had ruled the Dragon Devourer Legion for hundreds of years. His strength rivaled that of Elder Zhu, having reached the 9-star Do D level several centuries ago, and he had only grown stronger with time. Yimo, speak. You're the one who called for the Enshrined Hall meeting. What happened? Qin Tian asked, looking at Yimo. Commander, I called this meeting to discuss the Xuanling King's misconduct. Yimo said firmly. What? The other attendees' eyes widened in shock at Yimo's audacious claim. The Xuanling King might not wield absolute power in the Xuanling imperial family, but he was still a highly influential ruler. To publicly reprimand him would severely damage his reputation. Yimo, watch your words. The Xuanling King's eyelid twitched, suppressing his rising anger as he spoke to Yimo. With tensions between us and the Medusa clan already high, how can you stir up trouble now? Yimo retorted. Those three from the incense pavilion entered the Xuanling imperial pool, and the boy and girl ended up like that. Surely the Xuanling King knows something about it? I have no idea what you're talking about, the Xuanling King snorted coldly. As Yimo finished speaking, a dark figure in the room trembled slightly. If Xiao Yan were here, he would have recognized that it was the very person who had attacked them. Enough! Xuanling King, what's going on? Qin Tian's voice rang out from the head of the table. Uncle Qin, this matter. The Xuanling King hesitated, clearly struggling to find the right words. Speak. Qin Tian commanded sharply. Uncle Qin, it was my idea to send Xianimo, the Xuanling King finally admitted in a low voice. Xianimo? What's the meaning of this? Qin Tian turned his fierce gaze toward Xianimo, demanding an explanation. Commander, the cloaked figure trembled with fear, clearly terrified of Qin Tian's wrath. We've all fought together for many years. I just want to know the truth, Qin Tian said calmly. This is what happened. The 3 disciples from the incense pavilion were the top 3 in the points competition, and the first-place winner even killed the twin ghost emperors. That's why It had nothing to do with the Xuanling King, Xianmo explained. Sigh. Qin Tian let out a heavy sigh. Xuanling, I understand your temperament, but you must remember, small grievances can disrupt great plans, Qin Tian advised the Xuanling King. I will remember Uncle's teachings, the Xuanling King replied gratefully. Since that's settled, let's put this matter aside for now and avoid any further conflicts with the incense pavilion. We'll deal with it after the Medusa clan issue is resolved, Qin Tian concluded. Uncle, since we've convened the Enshrined Hall meeting, I have a request, the Xuanling King smiled faintly. What is it? Qin Tian asked. I request that you lead the Dragon Devourer Legion with me into the forbidden grounds of the Medusa clan to capture Medusa alive, the Xuanling King stated boldly. If we capture Medusa, won't the Medusa clan retaliate furiously against us? Uncle, there's something you might not know. Within the Medusa clan, Medusa herself possesses the highest and purest bloodline. If we can capture her alive, we can use her bloodline to suppress the vast majority of the Medusa clan strength. Solving the issue with the Medusa clan will then only be a matter of time, the Xuanling King declared confidently, as though he had already won. That makes sense. What are your opinions? Qin Tian asked, turning his gaze to the remaining 10 members of the meeting. Swish. In the next moment, 8 of the 10 members raised their hands in agreement with the plan. As for the remaining 2, one was Emo, and the other was a powerful figure seated next to him. I disagree. Medusa is surely under the highest level of protection within her clan. If we mobilize the entire Dragon Devourer Legion, it will undoubtedly ignite a full-scale war between our Xuanling imperial family and the Medusa clan. Emo roared in protest. In war, it's the common people who suffer the most casualties. Emo, your heart is too kind, Qin Tian said calmly. But in some matters, there must be sacrifices for greater gains. We've been in a stalemate with the Medusa clan for far too long. It's time to bring it to a conclusion. That's settled, then. As soon as the auction ends, we set off. Qin Tian ordered. Everyone, begin your preparations. This is a top-secret operation. The code name is Serpent Hunter. With that, Qin Tian slowly left the meeting room.